Hello, welcome to another Retainer Designer live stream. I hope everyone out there can hear me. I can see my volume here, so looks like it's working. But today we're doing something a little different, a little special, I guess a little special. We got on one of my shorts, I was showing off a funny thing with an Inman IPC Distalizer. And I got a comment on there, it's like, hey, Retainer Designer, do you have a video constructing this? And I was like, I looked through my Patreon, I looked through my archive, I looked everywhere, and I was like, I don't have a video on this. This is crazy. I'd make these at least once a month, once every few months. So I was kind of surprised I haven't made one yet. And lo and behold, and I texted back to the guy and I said, hey, yeah, I'll make one. I'll do a video next time one comes across my desk. And lo and behold, we got one. So we are doing an Inman Distalizer. It is a, well, you know, what is an Inman Distalizer? It uses an IPC part, and it's part of a handful of appliances that are used to move molars distally. So let's get into what we are now. What you saw in the thumbnail is a little different. That's actually part of the short that the YouTube short that that a person commented on. So I put that on the thumbnail. This will be a little different. That one was bilateral on both sides. This one's just going to be on one side, and we'll go over that in a second. So if y'all don't know, my name's Cade, and my wife and I own a small orthodontic lab out in the country, and I run this YouTube channel on the side and do these videos and share it out with everybody out there. Maybe somebody can get some use out of some of the little knowledge that I have of this industry. So if you think this will help, share it with somebody that you think would help. But let's get into what an Inman Distalizer is and why is it a little bit different. I have a website here, and let me share that. And this is how it works. This is the design. I'll try to I'm showing this because I can't really show I can't really show it up close. It's so tiny and small. But that thing with the ridges on it, that's the Inman component. I think there is another. Let's see, appliances. Let's see. I thought I had it. Where was it? I thought it was at the bottom. So this is InmanPowerComponent.com. This is the website for this IPC component. This is the mad scientist genius behind Don Inman. Don Inman owns Inman Orthodontic Lab. He's an inventor of many things, such things like the Inman aligner, very popular in Europe, but very popular here also, but very popular in Europe. And he's also invented this Inman power component. And what it does is it will distalize without moving back. So this is kind of what we're making, this picture. Let me see if I can find that one shot. This is another, this is a three-way one. This is a E-arch. So you can use this IPC component, Inman power component, in a lot of different appliances. And it uses the force of an open coil to move teeth backwards. So there are some videos on how they make them on here, and I'll just show you how I make mine. Let's see. So the inventor, Don Inman, who owns Inman Orthodontic Lab, let me get this picture up here. It's a pretty genius shot. But as you see, this component is like a stack of cones, and there's a slide lock on there that as you push it, it will slide over the end of one of the cones and lock back in where it won't back up. And so as you put the open coil in there, it slides down it compresses the open coil, and it will click at each one of those cones, and each one of those cones is 1 millimeter. So the doctor can actually very accurately activate that open coil, compress it down like 4 clicks. That's 4 millimeters, which means it will push that molar distally, theoretically, 4 millimeters. Of course, every patient is different. Every mouth is different. But the differences between that and like a distal jet is distal jet, kind of the same concept, but you don't get that feedback of that click, that 1 millimeter increment. You kind of just compress the spring and tighten it down, and you don't really know how much you've compressed it. And as far as like a pendulum, a pendulum is also a distalizer. That will also distalize the molars, but it's you got to preload these swing arms that will distalize, but you don't know how much force it's putting on there, that kind of thing. So this is more controllable by the doctor. Let's see. So where to order these? Let me share this tab. So this is JBC and Company. This is where I order them from. And here's a kit, and it comes with everything you need to make one of these. It contains 10 IPCs, enough to make 5 bilateral distalizers or 10 unilateral distalizers, and of course E-arches and things like that. And JBC sells all these components that you need. So let's look at this component. So I bought a quantity of 5, and it came in this little tube. And so these are the components. They're, as you can see, they're real tiny. And let's actually look and see what the measurement of this thing is. So the end, the smooth end here, that is actually 0.35 probably if I round up. Yeah. And then the thick part is 0.45. So you can see this is a very, that looks like it's 0.41, the small part of the cone. So there's a little slide lock on here. And so when you can slide it and you can see it kind of click. I don't know if you can even hear it, but it clicks all the way through. So each one of those is 1 millimeter. And then, of course, when you have it out of the mouth or you haven't made it yet, you can take this slide lock off and put it back on the front. And then click it into the first one. And there we go. That's ready to go. So that was me. I always test them, and I'll run this slide lock down the bead and or down the wire and make sure that it's working okay. I don't know if I've ever run into me having a problem with doing this, but I just saw I have a bunch of comments here. Sorry about that. I got into it too fast. Amy, it's nice to see you again. Luciano, nice Sunday. And then Iliac, hello from Tennessee. Mahela, I went to the doctor. Doctor said she ordered a uterus. Oh no. I witnessed cancer through my sister. Oh, Mahela, I'm so sorry. Well, everybody pray for Mahela that it's not cancerous. I hope it's not. I know my wife has a lot of issues with uterus things too, and I know what the problem is. Your video is grainy. Oh no. Looks like I am having internet issues. I'll watch this back. If it's grainy for me, then I'm looking at it, looks nice. So I'll keep going, and hopefully, yeah, I'm running into some Wi-Fi. Okay. I don't know what's wrong. Something's going on with my internet. Hopefully one of my kids isn't downloading a video game. That would suck right about now. But what I'll do is I'll download this actual thing and I'll upload it I usually do this for my Patreon members that want to watch this ad-free. If it's grainy, I'll do that. I'll download it and upload it to my Patreon, and then I will send the link out in the chat below when I do that, probably Monday, and I'll make it for free for everybody to watch, because this is kind of important that you can see these small components without it being so grainy. All right, I got some notes here because this is a lot to go over, and hopefully I can get through this whole thing. The components you need are, of course, you need the model with your bands, and I've already pre-fit the bands so that they fit well. I'm a little on the loose side, just because if they're too tight and they don't fit on the model, I got to redo this whole thing. So I have the model. And of course, your IPC component, you're going to want a couple sticks, 040 and 036 wires, and some open coil spring. So this is open coil Nati spring. This has a 055 internal diameter, but you really only need like 045. But it's always good to test this before you get started. You're going to want this to slide over the whole IPC component. All right. Oh, and you're also going to need tubes. I did not get that out yet. Let me grab my tubes here. And the tube I have is 040 internal diameter. So these are all a little on the big side, but I just like being safe. I have crimped the end of this. Let me get my disc out here, and I'm going to cut the end of this. Okay, so I've opened that up. Make sure I'm going to ream a bit with a small burr here, just to clean that out. And then that needs to slide onto here. So as you saw, I did a measurement before to make sure that the width of this. So this is the internal diameter of 040, like an 040 wire can fit in here. I don't know if I have one that will, yeah, that's probably, what is this, 036. See, 036, you're safe. Yeah, that's 036. This is 040, and it's gonna be a tighter fit. Yeah, it fits in there, but it doesn't slide as well. So I like how this slides on here. So those are the components you need. I have an 040 internal diameter tube, 036 040 wire, your open coil spring with at least a 055 internal diameter, because it's actually thicker over these little cones here. I call them cones. I don't know what the official thing is. And of course your IPC component. So let's get designing on this. So this is the model we're working with, and it has, the doctor has asked for unilateral appliance. So this side we're good, but you can see on this side, let me double check the notes. Distalize upper left 6 only, and use occlusal rest on the maxillary 4s and hold upper right 6 as an anchor. Thank you. So, do I have a pencil? I do. I don't know if you can see this on a pencil or not, but we're just going to put a wire here into the acrylic. We're going to put rest here. This is where the 036 wire is going to come in. And then we're going to put rest here and into the acrylic. The Inman component, as you can see, there's a canine here, but it's missing a canine here. So you got 1, 2, missing the canine, and there's not enough room for it. 4, 5. So I don't know if this patient lost a baby tooth, maybe this baby tooth, or this one, or the C too soon. But you can kind of see right here, this bulge right here is the canine trying to come in, but it's blocked because there's not enough room. So what the doctor's wanting to do is move this molar distally. So we're going to move this molar here, move it enough for the canine to come in, and then this doctor will move these two back after this molar moves back, and then that should hopefully drop in. So that's what we're working with today. Actually, I want like a Sharpie. That would be ideal so y'all could see this a lot easier. Where are all my markers? Sybil, where'd you do with my markers? She's got them over. Oh, I found one. Okay. Usually don't want to do this, but just to keep reminding myself, hey, it's just this side we need. So I'm going to put an arrow. That side is all we need. So what's the first? Now, I will put brackets on these, but I haven't done it yet. So we will. Oh, Mihaela, I do see you. We are not biological. I'm adopted. Okay, so it's not going to be genetic. Although I do like the medical field, it'd be fun to have ultrasound, but waiting for diagnosis is not fun. I realize now, ultrasound technician, I think that'd be fun most of the time, especially when you're doing babies. Yeah, I think my wife has PCOS, so she would totally understand you. Now, I fit the bands. Let's do the initial placement of this IPC, and I'm going to show y'all something that's important. So the direction of activation is this way, and if you could see, so the cones, the fat part of the cones go toward the back of the mouth because this is going to slide over it. Now, you could, in some cases, put a tube directly on the molar band right here and just slide this right into that tube, but it usually doesn't line up very well up here, and if you're not careful, you may cause the activation to go upwards. See how this, I know it would be moved down, but you can see how you want the distalization to be parallel with the occlusal plane. So this thing, this plane and this plane. And so if you go up or down, and you got to be careful when you're going this way, you don't want it to go this direction or this direction. You just want to slide this straight back. And so you want it to be parallel here and parallel here. So what we're going to do is it's called a cantilever. We're going to make a cantilever arm and connect it to a tube, and it's really easy to do. Now I was looking on these websites, and let's see if I can go back to this. No, it's this one. Yeah. I was looking at here. Oh, here it is. So the welded tube combos, this is what we're going to make, is 036 wire and 036 internal diameter tube. And then it comes with this kit, which I highly recommend you get. This top part up here, we're going to be making that by hand. So, but they're using 036 wire. I kind of like to use 040 wire just because I think it gives it more stiffness. So we are going to, so we'll go with the 040 wire. And we are going to attach it to the end of this tube, all right? And we want about, I think they sell them in 5 or 4 millimeter increments. So usually that's about That's 3. No, this is not. That's in inches. Okay, go to the millimeters. 0. Can you tell I got a new? So this is 5. All right. So we're gonna go with. That's kind of small. Maybe I'd like to go 6. So we're gonna bend this right here, about where that 5 or 6 mark is, and we're just gonna go with a 90 like that. Now if it's too long, I can always just grind off that. So we're gonna make a 90, and then we're gonna attach it, we're gonna laser weld it with that. So let's go here, and I'm going to put a brand new tip in here. Okay. All right, so hopefully that's not blurry. So I'm just pretty much gonna hold this together. I am on the wrong page. There we go. I was about to blow a hole in this. So I'm gonna clip my ground on here and out of the way. Let's see if I can get a good, nice weld on here. Trying to hold this, and also where I won't burn myself. There we go. I got it to stick. Now I'm gonna try to straighten it. There we go. There we go. All right, so now I'm gonna finish. I'm gonna add a few more welds down this. Now I gotta be careful. I don't want to warp this tube by putting too much heat, so I'm kind of spreading out my welds right now. And then I'll go in and fill in to make it look like one solid weld. Let me flip it over. You know, share the heat a little bit. So if you don't have a laser welder or a pulse arc welder like this one, yeah, I would buy that kit, and it's already got these laser welded on here, these making your own cantilever. But if you got one, you can save a little money and make your own cantilevers. So let me fill this in. Okay, so I'm gonna round this end right here on the end. I don't want to have to grind it, so I'm just gonna use the welder to round it. There we go. How's this side look? Hopefully that's not too blurry for y'all. There we go. Nice and round it. Hopefully we got a good bead on there that y'all can see. And so can y'all see that? Got a nice weld. That turned out pretty nice. Again, this is 040 wire. And the good thing is you can use this either way. You can do it this way or this way. So let me cut this off so I don't have so much that I'm dealing with here. I'm going to cut a little bit here. Definitely not going to be that long. And then I'm going to take my diamond disc and I'm going to slice through here to cut this. Because if I cut it with my wire cutters, it'll pinch it like it does this end. So see how that end is pinched? It'll pinch it closed. You want this open all the way through. You saw there was a slight little burr in there. And we're good. So we've made the cantilever that's going to go here. Now, we have a couple options. We can move it, we can put it here. So see how it's going to drop it down where we can get it parallel, because it's going to enter the acrylic over here and where it's going to go along here. So let's mark this. This is kind of where I want the IPC to go and kind of be parallel. Right below that is going to be the acrylic. So this, I'm going to slide it on here. So it's a lot of test fitting. There are times when there's not much room at all. Again, we're working with when you need to flip this like so, and you can attach it from the back, or if you need to move it forward, depends a lot on the mouth. So this gives you a lot of options. So I usually like to go this way. This will give me plenty of room for that to be activated in there. And I think we are ready to bend the IPC. Now, this is the scary part. Notice how I activated this. I slid it all the way down, took it off. Let me do it again. So I'm clicking it down. I take it off this, and then you can start over. You're just dealing with super small. And then I'm going to click it in once. Okay, so as you can see, when I bend this, if I click this down anymore, I can't take it off and restart it. It's ruined the IPC. That's the one drawback of this, is the instant you put a bend in here, it's done for it. So one thing you have to tell the doctor is, if they're a new doctor and they haven't done one of these before, is, hey, don't test activate this before it goes in the mouth. Leave it the way it is. I've already tested it, because once they activate it, it does not back up. You can't back it up. So it only goes, it's one-way street. So we are ready. So I'm going to kind of test fit this like this. Want to get it parallel, and I think I want to bend it here. I think these are machined, so they're really high quality. So I'm going to bend this like so. So now I've bent that. Not that I've ruined the IPC. I cannot move this anymore. I can't click it. So it's good to test it before you bend it. It's not like an RPE where you can test it after you've made the RPE. Again, but if the RPE is bad, you got to redo the whole thing. So same thing with this, I guess. So we're good here. I like the angle of this. I can probably put some sort of acrylic loop or something like that. And then looking at the parallelness of here, I want to, where's my marker? I want to bend this about there so that I can weld it against that molar band, or you could solder. I do like the welding. You don't have to try to protect this, the IPC when you weld. This is not exactly 90, so I'm going to do that. And then, yeah. So see how I'm parallel with the tooth there. I'm going to bend this distally. This is maybe a reason you may not want to use 040. And then depending on the way this thing swings this way or this way, will make your IPC, I meant not in the IPC swing this or that. Hopefully y'all are getting what I'm putting down. Slide that on there. So I think it looks like it's going to go out a little bit, so I kind of want to bring it in. Again, a lot of it has to do with the distal of the mouth. We are going to cut this off in the end, but for right now I'm going to leave it long. It helps to be able to wax it back there while I weld this. And then let's look there. Okay, I'm starting to like the looks of that. Let me go ahead and bend a little loop in here. Yeah, there we go. Where am I doing? Where's my pliers? Man, I don't know. You could do whatever you want. I mean, you could just do a little V-bend, I guess. Like that. However you want it to go in the acrylic, and as long as it doesn't get pulled out of the acrylic. This, I think I need to bend it a little bit more. I would like it a little higher. Because again, the acrylic's got to go below this line. The thumbnail is going to be different because that's the only picture I had of a Inman that I've done recently. It's a little different. The acrylic is actually up here. So it's a bite plate up here, just like a Nance bite plate or a fixed bite plate. So all the components had to be up here, and it had bands here and bands here. This one's going to be like a Nance button, so we're just going to have an acrylic plate right here. All right, let me cut this and keep that short. Now, one thing, if you have a steamer, is you can feel free to put wax wherever you need to, because if it gets into the components, you can just steam it off. And so we're going to be doing that a lot. I'm going to hold this down with some sticky wax right in the place I need it to be. So I'm going to use the IPC to hold the cantilever and tube in place. I'm just checking, making sure I have it where I want it. Okay, I think we are good to weld that tube in place. Yeah, it's pretty parallel. The mouth is a little rounded, but all right, let's weld that. Let's see if I can weld this without having to change the tip. Famous last words, right? Oh, also, good time to check your band to make sure it's in the right position. And I had it on the wrong setting, but I got a beautiful weld. I was so lucky. I almost blew a hole in the band. Now, if you're really good, what I might do is not solder this. I've gotten pretty confident doing this. So I've got a pretty good weld on here. And so I think what I'm going to do is take this apart and do a nice weld underneath on both sides, and I think I'm going to leave it like that. I think that's going to be a good non-soldered appliance. So let's take this off of here. So we've test fit everything. This is ready to go on the acrylic. I could probably cut it short or something. That's, you know, do whatever you want. Some of these appliances, I think, let's see if I can find that one. Yeah, here we go. Let me share this tab for you real quick. Let me go a little deeper, bigger. So if you can see, I don't know if I can zoom this in. They just did a little down bend and a little curl, and a down bend and a little curl, and they kind of did a like a TPA kind of connecting these two together. So you can do whatever. It's just that after this bend, it doesn't really matter, and you can see how the acrylic needs to be well away from here, well away from the IPC component. So. Oh, Michaela, is this for Herbst? No, Herbst appliance, not herpes. Yeah, this is for a Herbst appliance. Changes your jaw bite. You bite forward or back, or if it changes your bite. This will distalize molars. They probably could be done in combination with a Herbst. But let me get this. This is probably a better video to do recording and not live, because there's a lot of like test fitting and then removing and then putting back on, test fitting. I did fit these bands earlier, like I said, just to get them, just to save the time of test fitting bands. I want it to go a little size bigger, but I liked the snugness of these. There's going to be a lot of pressure on this molar, so you want these bands to fit as snug as possible. Ideally, you want the doctor to fit the bands on the patient and then give you the bands. So now you know the bands fit 100%. This one, we're risking it a little because I had to fit the bands. I'd say I'm about 80 to 90% accurate on my bands. So there's probably, I don't know, 10% chance these bands don't fit. So this is where the steamer would come in. Let me turn that on. I forgot to turn that on. Oh, I got to turn on the pressure pot too. My goal is I'm going to try to get to the acrylic stage and maybe take it off. And I probably won't show the trimming. It's almost like trimming an acrylic plate. So I have this off, which now means I can remove the IPC and I can work on welding just this. So let's try welding the underside. If I get a good weld on this side, I don't think I'm going to do solder. But it all depends on the weld. Wait. Yeah. Making sure I'm on the right setting. I don't want to blow a hole in the band live stream. There we go. Got a good one there. It may be a little hard to fit my electrode in there. It's kind of where laser welding would come in handy. Can I get my electrode in there? Try a different angle. Either way, I think I got a really good weld. Ooh, I can fit in there. There we go. There we go. There we go. Keep going, Cade. Keep going. All right. There we go. Now this is on here rock solid. I like it. So I'm going to round this. That way I don't have to deal with soldering this and cleaning it up and stuff. I'm going to bump up the juice on this and I'm going to touch this and round it. So now that's nice and round. Shouldn't bother the patient. So it's just going to be a pure laser welded band we're going to deal with. There we go. So yeah, it's on there really good. So notice I'm working with the IPC first. I'm putting it exactly where it needs to be. These other components, these anchor components I'm putting on here, I'm going to do them after I set this IPC component. And that way I know for sure. Oh, see, you got to be careful. Sometimes you have to put that on here. Well, okay. All right, back up, Cade. Back up. Pull this back off. Where's my band remover? There we go. There we go. Okay. So sometimes you have to... Why can't I get this? There we go. There we go. There is the completed Inman. Band and everything. So now you can see we're going to fill this with open coil. So how you see how it slides on here. So as this clicks down, it'll compress that open coil. Since this doesn't back up, the open coil has nowhere to go but this way. And so it's going to push on this bar, which will push on this molar and distalize the molar, and it's going to slide against this kind of a rail right here. All right, let's go ahead and bend this. I think I do want to put a little curly Q or something on here. So let's get this off. And again, you gotta be careful bending this. You only get one shot, and that might make a lot of y'all scared. I don't blame you. So as you're bending it, you have to make sure that you don't push on this part. One thing that I saw early on when they were first designing these things, or first launching this component, is they'd take a little 036 wire and they would bend a circle around this and clamp it down. And that way, during pumicing it, you know, you got to be careful. The rag wheel can still grab this little lock sleeve and cause it to activate. I like that. I think I might just leave that. Looks cool. Looks aggressive. So let's test fit one more time. Slide this on here. Oh, that's going to stick out of the acrylic. I'm going to bend that. That's going to stick out of the acrylic. I'm going to bend that down a little bit. Okay. Okay. So once you get this set, you will not have to worry about it. The rest of the appliance is rather easy. So let me bend this down. I'll bend this up. Again, be careful with that slide lock. There we go. Slide down. Okay. There we go. I like that. Simple. All right, let's do the rest. Now, one thing, we're working on a 3D printed model. We need to prep this as a 3D printed model because it's going to have acrylic on here. I wish I had like a colored pencil that I could draw where the acrylic's going to go on here. So right now I'm just putting a little bit of acrylic. I'm going to put a little bit of acrylic here along where the IPC goes because I'm going to cover that with wax. The wax won't stick to the acrylic. Sorry, the wax won't stick once the separator is on there. So I put wax under the separator and then I can just kind of attach it, and it will it'll stick to it because the wax is already stuck to the model, and I get rid of that layer of separator that's on the wax, and then I can attach wax to wax. Might as well paint everything. Now this is gonna have to take 2 coats of paint, but as it's drying that first coat, I think I can get some things bent. So let me go ahead and do this one back here. We're gonna go with the 036. This feels like 040. Am I good at that? That's wrong. 0. 037. What does that mean? 033. Okay, this is off. Okay, 0. 033. Okay, something's off. I got some wax in here or something. .034. So that's 036. I don't know why I was messing with that. So this is pretty simple. Again, I'm just gonna, this is one of the anchor molar, and we're just gonna include it into the acrylic. So let's bend, I'm gonna start with that bend, and then do a little up bend, and do another little, oh, y'all can't see none of that. Do another little up bend right there. So let's bend this part in, bend this part out. So the acrylic's going to go right below this ridge here. You're going to go back, and then right distal to the molars, it's going to go sweep down and up. So distal to the 5s. So I just need to make sure that this makes it in to the acrylic, and that will do it right there. So I'm going to cut this here. And we'll make a little circlet for retention in the acrylic. And voila, we have an anchor wire. Now, what I'm going to do is making sure it's touching as much on that molar band as possible. It's going to make my welding a lot easier. So I'm just putting a little bit of wax right there. I'm holding it away, that this is away from the model. Come on now. And so we're going to try it again. We're going to try to do this without solder and see if my welding skills hold up to the test. Again, I'm checking the band to make sure it didn't shift on me. So there we go. Let's switch over. I'm going to switch out this tip. Ow! It fell down. All right. So I got a nice new sharp electrode. And got I'm just going to ground it on the band. And woo! See, always good to check the settings first. There we go. Now I can't get to it on this underside, so I'm just going to pull it off the model. I got that very first thing done. That's a thing that, you know what I mean. that first tack weld, that first top layer done. Top layer, top weld. I don't know what I'm saying, guys. Let's let this dry, and maybe by the time I'm done welding the bottom of this, it will be ready to go. All right, let's weld the bottom. Not the prettiest work. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a heatless wheel, and oh, I wasn't even on the the weld. Okay, this is what I just did over there. I was on the wrong camera. So that's my. I made that wire a little too long. So let me get a heatless wheel, and I'm going to just shave that little tip down. I think it might be too bright. That's why I'm having a hard time. So just tapered that down. I'm going to use a little bit higher power on the thing here, and hopefully I don't blow a hole in the band live on the stream. Knock on wood. Let's see if I can get this nice and tapered. There we go. I'm mainly leaning the electrode more on the wire than the band and trying to get it to jump across to the band. I don't want to touch the band directly on this higher power setting. There we go. I'm gonna bump it up one more level, and there we go. Now, the settings, guys, what I used for this is power 28%. This is the initial welds to the wire. And 1.5 milliseconds. Now that second level up was 26%, so the power is a little bit lower, but the time was 3 milliseconds. And then that last one was 50% power, 5 milliseconds. So if that helps anybody out there, I'm liking how that turned out. And I don't think I'm going to need the solder. These small components, is so hard to get the cameras to focus on them. There we go. See, I'm showing off this weld because I'm proud of it. If it wasn't very good, I wouldn't be showing it off. So we're ready for a second coat, and this should be the final coat. That dried nicely. So you can see how you can kind of work around. Now, if I was doing this on stone, I'd probably already have the separator on there. There's a lot less risk of bonding the acrylic to the model with a stone model. So I would put the separator on before I even start doing the IPC component part. But if this was a bi-lateral distalizer, you would just do the same thing on the other side. Make your cantilever arm with your tube and your Inman component. You got to work a little bit on making sure that your what am I trying to say? Your wires are all out of the way. So I'm going to leave that there. Let's work on these rests. So these are just basic rests. I'm going to use 036 wire like this. Yep, there we go. I'm going to grind, soften the ends a little bit, round them off. Now these are going to be bonded. They're actually going to use some glue. They're going to prep the occlusion, and they're going to bond them in place. Now, one thing I can do, it's up to you. You can connect these two together, but maybe I'll attempt that. Trying to get that a nice tight fit for that bonding. About in the middle, I'm going to do a little up bend like that. Bend that down. Because of this up bend, I may not need a loop or anything. It's kind of falling into place. I like it. So let me bend this a little more in here and flare that out a little bit. So then we're going to mark that, and we're going to bend this 90 back. I'm going to go ahead and bend this upwards just so I have a little handle. Oh, come on back. Come on back, IPC. And I'm just doing little adjustments while I have this easy handle. And let's cut that. Now, one thing I can do, you could do this before or after. You can use a Mizzy heatless wheel. You can scuff this up, flatten it down a bit. This also provide a little retention. You can use this or micro etch them, and I'll probably micro etch them, kind of like you do the inside of the bands, and that way it gives a little bonding surface for the doctors. There we go. Pretty simple. Let me flare this. I think this needs to go out a little bit. So my IPC is kind of going underneath it, and that's fine. So actually, let me look. It is a little high. Now, what I probably could do is just bend this IPC a little bit more to make a little room. I think I'm good. I think I do want to dip this down a little bit. See how it's raised? So let me do that. Let's see if I can do that. I might have to bend this whole thing over again. Oh, such a failure, Cade. Such a failure. Of course, it shrunk this. So, plan 2 is cut this. Now you gotta be careful. Remember, this separator on the 3D model is fragile, so I'm trying not to scuff it or anything. So that just fell right in there almost. So let me bend this a little bit. This is where you can get really fancy with your bending of your wires. You know, make sure they all kind of match. You do want to put a little retention circle in there. This may change the whole dynamic. How am I going to bend this? Ouch. Ouch. Let's close that off. There we go. So you got those two circles together. Let's wax that down so it stays. And again, when I wax it down, I'm going to lift it up a bit. This is the other side. It might be a little too short. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I think I want to bend this IPC a little more. So let me get my, I wonder if I can do this with some 3 prongs. I'm going to rotate this up. Let me get this out of the way. Get out of the way. Come on now. Get out of the way. You know what? Gotta take this molar off. Not the molar, the band. Molar band. And what I want to do is increase this angle. Let's see if I can just do it with some of these tiny 3-prongs. Yeah. There we go. Let's see how that looks. Ah! And then, there we go. So let's bend this. Let's put a little Q on, curly Q. You do whatever you want. You know, you could do zigzags. Just put something in there so it doesn't get pulled out of the acrylic. There will be a lot of force on this. A lot of force. The force of the open coil spring. I would like this to be a little longer. So let's rebend this. And find my wire I was using. And what I may do is start down there. Now, again, all this will get more complicated. You can add a expander in the middle here if you want. And again, that's going to be all the placement. Your wire placement is going to be more precise. Let's see if I would stop. Let me wax that down. Wax it down, Cade. Get it out of your way. Well, maybe I need to make sure my molar band is exactly where it needs to be. Taking it on and off, you're going to have to make sure that it goes back right where you need it. So this rest is going to be bent a little different because the IPC is kind of in the way. So I have it kind of in the same spot as this side, and then I'm bending it backwards. And then let me put a little front bend, or forward mesial bend. Yeah, that sounds more official. And then have that going across the occlusion. I'm going to bend it down a little bit and then bend it back up. That should hug that fossa, that occlusion in there a little bit better. So let me cut this and there we go. Then a little wax to hold down the rest. It does look a little crooked in there. Now, here's the important part. The acrylic has to go below this. Now, I could have made my cantilever up higher and up closer to here, but I kind of like it where it's at. It's going to run parallel and parallel. You just kind of got to figure out where it's going to fit the best. But I do need to block this for the acrylic, and I'm just going to use some of this utility wax and cover it. I'm just going to push it down on there. Again, I'm doing this because I have a steamer, and the steamer will get rid of this wax no problem and not bother the IPC. You do not want to get acrylic into those cones or encapsulate this IPC into that acrylic. You try to get it out of the acrylic, you're probably going to damage the IPC. So I've got that covered, right? Completely covered. So we can go, let me get set up let me dry this just in case it's still wet. I'm gonna set up right here for my acrylic. May the force be with you. Yeah, the force of the IPC. All right, let's get a paper towel. Now, the basic color of this is, what I just hit? What is that? What happened? Okay, all right. Is standard pink. So I'm going to use standard pink and this. This is like doing a Nance button. So if you've done Nance buttons before or bite plates or something like that, you should be good. Again, on this, I need to move up. Wish I could mark on here. I want this acrylic to go here, here, almost to here, right? Down. So really want this rouge covered. So that way it needs force, speaking of Amy, to push against the roof of the mouth to distalize this. So as that spring compresses, it will try to go one way or another. So it's either going to go this way, or if it's got enough anchors, it'll send that molar off by itself. All right, I think that's dry. So let's sprinkle this. Oh. I am not liking how this is coming out of the bottle. I think I need to clean my tip. One thing I don't like about these is trying to polish these. I'm trying to get this, exactly. I don't want to just fill it up and make it nice and thick. Make it terrible and thick. It'd be nice to get it the exact thickness I need, where all I have to do is just trim the edges up. So let me try to contour this a bit. All right, so let's do a little bit of powder. And let me get a tool to scrape this. I'm gonna let it sit up just a bit, and then we'll use this little scraper tool and clean up the edges. That way it's going to be easy to take off. So that's going to be the best method to take this off. And now I'm trying to keep it low profile so it's comfortable for the patient. Oh, Amy, don't forget to put the name in. I'm not going to do it on this because this is actually cemented in the mouth. So it's called a fixed appliance. It's a permanent appliance. So in the state of Texas, it doesn't need a name since it's just permanently in the mouth. The name is required on removable appliances, so I don't need to put one on here. But I bet you some kids would like it, but you couldn't see it. They have to open up their mouth really big to see it. Oh, here we go. Do you have to put a name in it? Because I just answered. You just answered it yourself. Yeah, because it's a fix, I don't have to put a name in there. All right, so let's cut this. Oh, my cutter is dirty. Get that acrylic off. So again, I want to go distal to distal. Distal of the 5 to distal of the 5. All right, I might have waited a little too long. I got you. I got you. We're still good. We're still good. This may have a few bubbles in it because I waited so long. I tend to do that on these live streams. So let's clean this up. So really I'm not cutting it where I want to trim. I'm going to trim a little bit more than where it's at. I'm just mainly trying to make a nice sharp line to get a knife under it. So let's get this in the pressure pot. Okay, let's make a part 2. That took a long time. We are way over an hour. So let's make a part 2. So be sure and subscribe. Ask any questions. Part 2 may come, I'll probably launch it on Wednesday. Those that saw a blurry version of this, like I said, I'll download it. There's a link to my Patreon below. You can watch the non-blurry. I guess I had internet connection issues, but I did a recording of this. So it should be good, the recording, we'll see. And I'll make it free. So I think all you have to do is just sign up. I don't spam you, don't worry. But you just sign up for my Patreon. You can watch the blurry-free, ad-free version. I'll make it free for this one. For this part 1. Look for part 2 coming up in a few days. When that comes out of the pressure pot, maybe tomorrow I'm probably going to do the assembly part, because that's very important, where we actually add the spring on there. We'll trim it up. You got to trim it up and get it all ready, and then you add the spring at the last, and then you got to put a little solder ball or something at the very end so that it doesn't come off. So again, keep an eye out for part 2. Should be coming in a few days, and I'll have it linked around here somewhere so you can watch it when that gets launched. So with that being said, I'm going to end it there. I didn't mean to go that long, but I hope this helps somebody. And if it helped you, give me a like. Share this with somebody if you think somebody needs to know how to make one of these. Maybe it helps them. Maybe I got a few tips and tricks that can help. And if y'all got any tips or tricks, put them in the comments below. But hit the subscribe button. That way you get a notification when I go live. So thank you, everyone. And Amy, thank you. Have a great night. Everyone, keep Mahela in your prayers that we have the best outcome for her doctor's appointment to hear back. So that being said, good night, everyone, and happy bending. See y'all in a few days.